To begin, I just want to point out just 4 different points. Point number 1, as we just mentioned, is that let it be said out loud, and let's make no mistake about it. This is indeed a war of good against evil. And I will tell you, just to make the point, I know you know this already, but I will tell you from a very personal standpoint. My beloved son, Yisrael Mordechai Chaim, right now is in the IDF. He's a paratrooper, he's a sniper in the paratrooper unit of 101. And immediately on October 7th, at about 7:30 a.m., he received a call from his commander. He was in a hotel with his cousin. He was visiting from Florida. They were celebrating Simchat Torah together, the happiest day in the Jewish calendar. And he gets a call again from his commander saying, you have an hour to get to your army base. Take your rifle with you, your uniform with you, take everything you have. Something is happening in the south. We don't exactly know what it is, but we're heading there soon all together. Be here in an hour. He packed his rifle and immediately went to his army base, and from there, his unit went to the Gaza border. What they saw, no one should ever need to see, ever. Their task was to go from home to home, building to building, and first and foremost, eliminate terrorists and their evil doings. And number 2, to try and evacuate as many Jews, living or not, that they could. Won't go too much into details, but I can tell you that everything that you've heard in the news about the horrors that they performed, these evil terrorists performed, is true. My son saw babies shot in their cribs, decapitated woman on the floor, and he's just 20 years old. For 3 days, he didn't sleep. Didn't sleep for 3 days. For 7 days, he didn't change his clothes, his boots, because every second they had, they wanted a nap. For 7 days, he survived on tuna and peanuts. And for 7 days, he saw horrors that are just unfathomable. He was also injured. When I saw him, I went to Israel about a week after these atrocities, and I was hoping to see him. I said to myself, I'm going to take a risk. Whether I see him or not, that's up to God, but I'm going to do my part. And the day I landed is really the day after he was moved back to his army base after a week in the Gaza border. So I was able to see him just outside of his army base. And I see that he was a little bit injured here. I said to him, Yisrael, what happened to you? He said, look, we were chasing after a terrorist, and I have a friend behind me who had no choice but to throw a grenade at him. So he threw a grenade at him. Unfortunately, the grenade landed a little bit closer to us than we thought. So it eliminated the terrorist, thank God. But a shrapnel from the grenade came and hit me here, and that's why I'm a little bit injured. But I'm just telling you this because, again, to emphasize this point that is, I know is clear to everyone, but this is really a war of good versus pure evil. Evil that wishes not just to destroy us, but to decapitate us, to destroy us in the most torturous ways. And if my son's testimony is not enough, then go ahead. You can now look at the news. You can look at what Stephen Blinken said yesterday about what he heard had happened. And I'm not going to go again into too many graphics. So this war that Israel is fighting is a war that is therefore a war on behalf, not just of Jews, but on behalf of humanity. It is therefore a war that needs to be ending with victory, nothing less, not with the ceasefire or anything else. Because as evil works, if it is just shrinked, it will rise again like a mushroom. It needs to be eradicated. In the words of King David, in Psalm 92, as soon as they rise, we need to uproot them, because if you don't uproot them, then they'll rise again and they'll affect us, and who knows what will be next. So that's the message we need to tell ourselves, and that's the message that we need to share with the world. We can elaborate on that with your questions thereafter. Message number 2, I think what is important for every one of us right now is unity. Nothing is stronger, nothing is more beneficial both to our brothers and sisters in Israel and to our brothers and sisters across the world, than Am Yisrael coming together. I will tell you this, that when I went to the army base to visit my son, as mentioned, I was deeply touched by the unity that I felt in Israel and that I saw in Israel that I don't think I've ever seen in my lifetime. I've lived in Israel. I've been to Israel thousands of times. I've never seen it. I've never felt it the way I felt it now. There were people outside of the army base who set up tent to provide free shawarma and falafel and kebabs and everything to the soldiers. There were chiropractors, physical therapists who set up tents to give free massages to all of these soldiers. There were people who own little stores, makolet, they call them in Israel, to give the soldiers again free food, free cigarettes, free anything that they wanted. That's the unity that was sensed. I will tell you this, I also went to not just visit my son, but I went to Shiva homes, and I went to the Soroka hospital in the south to visit many injured soldiers. What I saw, I could write a book about, or maybe I should write a book about, but the message, the underlying message that I heard from people sitting Shiva to the injured soldiers in the hospital, injured civilians who were injured because of rockets that were launched at them, was one. And that is that with this unity, we will get through this. We personally will get through this, through our injuries, through our pain and suffering. And we as a nation will get through this in a victorious way because of this unity. Really, nothing gives us more strength and gives our people more strength than them knowing that we are in this together as one. Ke'ish echad belev echad, like one person with one heart. I'll share with you the story of Rachel Malka Vaknin, who was sitting Shiva. I had the privilege of going to visit her because she lost her only children, twins, who were the producers of that music festival, Osher and Michael Vakni, and they were both shot to death. Rachel Vaknin was widowed a few years ago. So now she's alone in this world, no husband, no children. And it's interesting because I have another friend who, his name is Shmuel Toledano, and I was telling him the story, and he says, oh, the Vaknins, they are my childhood friends. In fact, Osher and Michael Vaknin invited me to the music festival. He lives here, by the way, but invited me to the music festival. I'll send you a screenshot of their invitation. And he sends me a screenshot of the invitation to the music festival. I'll show it to you right here. It's just quite amazing. But what's heart-wrenching is not just, here's the screenshot of the text with Osher Vaknin. You can see Osher Vaknin. This is the invitation to the music festival. I'll show it to the people here on YouTube. And at the bottom, he texted him on October 7th. He says to Osher Vaknin, this is again his friend, I know, Mama Tzavachi, how are you doing? Osher Yachakar, 3 question marks, he's not answering. And then again, another question marks, again not answering. Because as we know now, he was murdered. Now, Rachel Vaknin, as she's sitting Shiva, you can see she's visibly just completely broken. And she tells me, Ani levad, nisharti levad. I've been left alone in this world. And then she looks at the hundreds of people who were there. Most of them didn't even know the Vaknins. But she says, but when I see this, when I see Am Yisrael like this, I know I'm not alone. That in of itself was really so powerful because the truth of those words resonate deeply. I'll tell you the story also just to make one more point about unity. And we'll move to the 2 additional points. But I'll tell you the story of Shalev Shlomi Best. By the way, I just spoke with him this morning. I'm still in touch with him. This is a soldier that I did not know. I went to visit injured soldiers at the Soroka hospital in Beersheba when I was there 2 weeks ago. And one of the rooms I walked into was the room of Shalev Shlomi Best. Shalev Shlomi Best is truly a remarkable hero. I'm going to show you a picture of his. And show you a picture of his in full uniform. But Shalev Shlomi Best, yeah, this is the man. I don't know if you can see him. This is Shalev Shlomi Best. Shalev Shlomi Best. And he's sitting in the hospital. And I, immediately asked him, what happened to you? And he tells me that he's part of this elite police force called the Hamas in Israel. And he also received a call early in the morning on October 7th from his commander saying, hey, you have to go to this city in the south called Ofakim, because we hear that there's terrible things happening. We don't exactly know what, but we know that the situation is not pretty. So he was in pajamas, but he immediately got dressed, took his pistol, put it right here in his hip, and took his car and drove all the way to Ofakim. He gets to Ofakim, he hears gunshots. So he goes to the streets where those gunshots are coming from. He comes to the street and he sees a soldier that froze in place, just out of shock. He was frozen. So Shalev tells the soldier, hey, I'm grabbing your rifle. You're obviously not using it, but get out of here. Go away. Go find some safety. He takes the soldier's rifle and immediately starts shooting at those terrorists who were at the end of that street. He, Baruch Hashem, was able to eliminate 2 of them, but there's a 3rd one he did not see. That 3rd one came from nowhere. And this 3rd one shot Shalev in the back. He had 2 bullets in the back. 1 bullet in his foot that was shattered to pieces. He showed me pictures this morning. It's just, he's going through hell. And 1 bullet that was shot at his hip. But remember what was there? His pistol, right? The rifle of the soldier he was using. So he did not use his pistol. His pistol was shot at. And thank God his pistol was there because it blocked the bullet. I'm going to show you this. I'm not making this up. I'm going to show you. Yeah, this Shalev. He sent me the pictures of the bullet hitting the pistol with the hole in the pistol. I don't know if you can see it. You see this hole here in the pistol? Well, that's the hole of the pistol. You see that that shows that the bullet was blocked. And thank God he said it was there, because if not, I wouldn't be here speaking with you. But so I'm speaking to Shalev. We put the tefillin together and we are staying in touch, and he's truly a hero, and what he has to go through now to recover is just unimaginable. But I'm telling the story last week on Thursday morning to my students at Pardes Jewish Day School, where I teach a few hours a week. And they immediately say, like good innocent children, can we call him? Can we video conference him? So I said, yeah, sure. Let me see. I texted Shalev, can I call you here with my students? He said, I just got out of the shower, but yeah, sure. So we called him. And Shalev is on the board speaking to my students who are telling him, Refuah Shalema, full and speedy recovery. And then he says to me like this, I'm so touched by this, that please tell your students, Shani ohev otam meod, that I love them very much, and that I would do this all over again and get injured the way I got injured all over again, just to save one of them. And I'm saying to myself, look, isn't that really the strength of our nation, of Am Yisrael being so united as one, with such heroes that feel the love, and such students who share that love too? That's really the essence of our strength. So that's point number 2. We have to be united regardless of what you like or dislike in others. And that unity, by the way, starts in our inner circles, with our own families, with our own friends. That's where it starts. It's easy to be united with someone you never met. It's easy. What about the people who you met and you know and you don't like? Much harder. But that's where it starts. And that's really what gives us strength. Number 3, I also know that many of us think that we are hopeless or helpless. And we are sitting here in Arizona, glued to the news, maybe a little bit too much. And we think to ourselves that, oh, okay, wow, yes, the soldiers are heroes. They're fighting for us. And everyone in Israel is fighting for us and doing what they can. But what can we possibly do here sitting in our couch in Scottsdale, Arizona? But I want to tell you that, no, you're completely wrong if that's the way you're thinking. There's a lot you can do. There's a ton you can do. And I'm just going to share just a few things. Number 1, you can pray. An hour saying the book of Psalms, or a few chapters from the book of Psalms, is, I can promise you, much more effective than an hour watching CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, or whatever you watch. an hour doing a mitzvah in order to arm our nation with spiritual weapons that they need, because eventually, as we said, this is a war of good versus evil. And every good deed that we do is accumulated with the goodness that others do, and that eventually expel this evil, is as effective as could be. So an hour of doing mitzvahs will expel eventually this darkness. Number 3, there are so many great organizations that you can help and support, volunteer for, or even support financially. I'm not going to endorse one over the other. Baruch Hashem, there are many. You can talk to Mindy Franklin here in the back, who leads Rally Volunteers for Israel, an amazing thing that you can get involved with. But there are also others. So please do that again instead of watching news. Number 4, I would also encourage everyone in their own social network. I know we try to influence the macro, but it starts with the micro. Influence public opinion. There's so many lies and distorted pieces of information that are being thrown out there. You can influence just one person, whether it's someone you know at work, or whether it's someone that you just met at Fry's supermarket. Who knows? But every voice of truth helps expel this lie, or these lies. So there are many things that one can do. And on a communal level, I do want to invite everybody. I know that there's a massive event at the City Council on Friday afternoon, which will, I think, also have dignitaries, right? I think the governor's coming and others. And this event is really to put out a cry to release the hostages and to support Israel. Yes, Mindy. Right. Technically, it's starting at 3:40 until 5. Amazing. Okay, very good. So that's one event. I want to invite everyone to the event we're having right here on Sunday at 5:30 p.m. We too will have dignitaries. I hope the governor will also join us. And previous governors, Governor Ducey might be here too. We'll have a special message from President Herzog to our community too. And we'll have prayers, and we'll also have special presentations. We're doing it on Sunday night also because Sunday night marks the Shloshim, 30 days since the massacre of October 7th, since the passing of over 1,400 Jews, innocent Jews. So it's an important date also spiritually, mystically, and certainly Jewishly. So please come, and then please share the idea that to all men that you know, that year on Sunday morning during our minyan, we are having an event called Wrap for Israel, WRAP, for men to come and wear tefillin. Tefillin have a special power of protection for our brothers and sisters. So please spread the word also. We'll have a delicious breakfast. Everyone is welcome too. So please join us for that. So yes, so women are more than welcome, absolutely. And there'll be also mezuzahs, by the way, for we'll raffle mezuzahs and tefillin too. So please come for that too. That's at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. Tefillah is at 8 a.m. Prayer is at 8 a.m. And then breakfast probably around 9. But anyway, there are many community events that you can engage in, that you should engage in. Let's be as action-oriented as possible. I do want to share with you the story that I've shared before of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Schneerson of blessed memory, who in 1973 was visited by the chief rabbi of Tel Aviv, then Rabbi Lau. Rabbi Yisrael Meir Lau eventually became the chief rabbi of Israel. And this was shortly after the Yom Kippur War, which was a devastating war for Israel on many levels. And the Rebbe wanted to know what the mood is like in the streets of Israel. So he asked Rabbi Lau, how do the Jews feel in Israel? What's the mood like? And Rabbi Lau said, well, the mood can be condensed in one question that everyone is asking. What's the question? The question is, Ma ihyeh, what will be? And the Rebbe became very serious, and he grabbed Rabbi Am's arm, and he said to him, Rabbi Lau, that's not a Jewish question. The Jewish question is, Ma naaseh, what are we going to do? Not what will be. What are we going to do? And that should be the approach. I know we're sitting across the TV screens, and we say, oh, what's going to be, what's going to be, what's going to be. Well, do something about it. What are we going to do? What's going to be will turn you into passive potatoes. What are we going to do? We'll turn you into active Jews that certainly can benefit our brothers and sisters in Israel, and help win this war. That's one second to last point. The last point I want to make, and then again, I'm happy to open this up. But the last point I want to make is that every single day in our prayer, in our morning prayer, we speak about God and we speak to God. One of the things we speak about God is that we say that He is Baal Milchamot, Zorah Tzedakot. He is the one who leads wars. Baal Milchamot, Zorah Tzedakot, and He plants seeds of justice. We also speak to God directly in the Amidah prayer, in which we ask God for strength and for peace and for victory of good over evil. Why am I saying this? Because I think this is also a time to strengthen our faith in God. I know many people have anxieties, and trust me, I have a son right now in Gaza. I know exactly what that means. But Hashlech al Hashem Yahavcha, as King David says in the book of Psalms, sometimes we have to know how to give it over to the higher power, as the 12-step program says. And know that there is a God at the end of the day, that is the creator of every human being, the creator of every aspect of this world. And we have to trust in Him and pray to Him that He will do what is best for every single one of us. And He will ensure that this war ends with a true victory of good over evil. Sometimes that's all we can do, and then sometimes it's all we need to do. Moments in which you are in your shower crying, moments in which you are driving down the highway asking yourself what will be, and you can't really do anything because you're driving down the highway and you have to be careful. Unlike Moshe Dayan, you only have one eye. He was once caught speeding, and a policeman pulled him over. Said, Moshe Dayan, you were caught speeding 30 miles over the speed limit. Moshe Dayan says, look, I only have one eye. Do you want me to look at the speedometer, or do you want me to look at the street? So sometimes we only have one eye or two eyes, and we can't really do anything outside of the car. We could. And then we filled with anxieties. Well, let's speak to God. Those are times in which we say, God, we trust you. We have emunah and bitachon. We have belief and faith in you. And we hope that you can really finally turn the tide and make sure that evil is completely eradicated and that goodness wins without any harm to our people, without any casualties.